Hi everyone, this is your EPO, Andre, bringing you a full breakdown video to celebrate the next in the series for Duel in the Den in Escondido, California, which is Saturday, May 14th. I'm bringing to you Lone Wolf Base's first tournament they hosted at Summer/5. This is Hikaru Hayakawa versus Daniel Lane. Daniel Lane fights mostly with the Saber Legion, which is a completely different organization with completely different rules. This is his very first appearance. And of course, Hikaru is out of Lone Wolf Base. At this point, he's essentially the defender of the den, as he has 2 first place titles on his home turf. This fight is very significant because of how massive these exchanges and rallies are. So this is the very first points scored in this match so far, and we are about 90 seconds into the match, I believe. No, not 90 seconds. I can't completely see the score, the screen. I believe it's in the 40s right now left, 40 seconds left. We have our fight set to 1 minute 45 seconds. Score is 2-0 with Hikaru in the lead. Ooh, and another clean strike to the hilt. So it's 4-0. Four to 0 with Hikaru in the lead. Daniel Lane trying to feel him out. Good slip. Oh, and a beautiful snipe. He called the bluff on Hikaru's feint and met him more than halfway. There's 19 seconds left now, 4-2 with Hikaru in the lead. Now, this is beautiful because this whole entire fight was not necessarily boring. There's a lot of exchanges, a lot of rallies, a lot of blade contact, and we're going back and forth still. There's calling a simultaneous action or no action, really. The refs were at a disagreement. A lot of blade contact, a lot of evasion. Nothing yet. Boom. Looks like the exact same touch. Both refs are in agreement. Double checking to make sure the refs or the fighters are fine. Four seconds left on the clock, 4-2. So what actually happens here is that the clock never actually started. I do remember we kept having issues that night with this clock. It gave them about 6 seconds before a contact was actually made, but due to it being a ref issue, I believe they end up calling points still, and let's see what happens. Yes, they give the clean hit to Daniel Lane, and that brings us to 4-4, and they're going to put 20 seconds on the clock for sudden death. Hikaru literally just said, "This is my 3rd sudden death of the night." Hikaru's a very, very tempo fighter. He prefers to not necessarily combo his attacks, and that's the same with Daniel Lane. They seem to be going back and forth. Daniel likes to combo his attacks through flow and flourishes. clean strike from orange to purple's help. Daniel Lane takes the match in sudden death. So I'm going to go ahead and take this whole thing and break it down. So I'm going to go ahead and restate that the matches in these pools are 1 minute and 45 seconds and it's first to 8. What's beautiful about this match is that they used all of the time and still did not hit the point scoring. And during the sudden death, they even just they're halfway there. They're halfway there. Both of them need 2 clean strikes in order to clean it out. The problem is they are both being not necessarily cautious, but respectful of their opponents. Instead of just diving in and hoping for an exchange and hoping the refs see this exchange in their favor, they took their time. They were technical. They allowed their opponent to also breathe and send signals to them to see who's going to strike next and when. So this is going to be a good rally. This one, the first one, ends in a simultaneous contact. No, this is typical of technical fighters, as they both want to gauge their opponent's reach and movement. A lot of blade contact. Simultaneous action. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and re-look at this real quick. So what's crazy is you're going to have this back and forth a little bit. So Daniel's taking a good solid strike. He's about mid posture here. He's going to come right up here and straight down, and he's going to try and attempt to get this hand shot. What Rue is actually doing is he is also postured about the same. Obviously the angle is different here, except what he's doing is he's turning this knee, well, up on the screen essentially, out of the ring, and instead of forward. Notice how Daniel is also kind of doing the same thing here. His foot isn't in a forward stance, it's in a slightly side stance. This allows him to, if he needed to, be able to push out to just get out of there. So going back to Rue's stance, his elbow is also kind of pointed out of the ring. As he twists his hand and his wrist, his hand is actually facing this way, and his saber is going to come in this way. And it's, I believe it's going to get caught either on the outside or inside of the hilt, and if it's on the inside, therefore the hand as well. So what I believe we cannot see due to frames is that Daniel's hilt looks to have be hitting either the forearm or the or the shoulder, or not the forearm, the upper arm or shoulder of Rue, and then Rue gets caught up, like I said, in the hand here. Oh, maybe Daniel actually hit the leg. It flexed that far. But see, notice how Rue ended up completely turning it almost 180 degrees to get out of there after that hit landed, to where he's walking away. Uh-oh. Because he was essentially just going to escape afterwards. Daniel was actually, what made it look like he was going to plant his foot to be able to retreat, he actually leans in on it, so his body's completely forward, ready for the next move. Obviously from this angle it's hard to tell exactly what the refs saw, but what does happen is they end up calling a simultaneous action. So as we're 0-0, we have about 30 seconds off the clock at this point, which is not typical of most Lightspeed battles. Now this is an actual beautiful exchange. So they are reaching for each other. So what Hikaru actually ends up doing is he starts to mix up the tempo a little bit. You're going to notice he comes in with a slash. And then what he's going to do is he's going to posture back up again. And then he's going to go slightly forward and not commit to anything. He's just going to throw the body movement. So he's going to posture back up, and then he kind of throws it like the wrist action, but then comes right back, which forced Daniel to go, okay, I'm going to attack before he can actually throw an attack. He misses. Ryu steps forward, and I believe he again holds back about here. Yeah, this one's a little deeper. So he originally was here. Uh-oh. He was originally here. This time he went in a little bit deeper, to which Daniel said, I'm going to counter this. And he threw his blade, and he's trying to swipe the hand here. Aborts that, follows back, does a small flourish back behind his head, and I believe he's going to try again through here. And actually, he is too soon, because what Hikaru did was he hesitated. He threw just a small hesitation to offset the tempo that Daniel was already used to, and then shoots right as soon as that blade cleared his hand. Daniel attempts to recover, to try and block the blade, or at least hit the hand roughly the same time, and it's to no avail, because Ryu actually swings his hand down, and with Ryu's, he actually uses a curved saber. His hand is actually much lower than what you would expect because of the way you can hold it. But so he does not get the blade in time for the block, nor does he get an equivalent exchange. One more time in full speed. The hesitate. Yep, there it is. So he went in. He went in once, said no, went in twice, kind of fully committed, and then came back, and then hesitated even less, or even more, the third time, and then immediately striked. So at this point, we're 2-0. We are just over a minute left. And Hikaru comes in with that second kill. And Daniel did not see it coming, because Hikaru has yet to do a full lunge this deep. Notice how they're both kind of doing a mid stance. They are equal parts here. This is a pretty wide stance for Daniel. He's actually right on the upper body, right? His chest and head are right over his hips. His knees are pretty much shoulder width apart. Hikaru is not. His shoulders are way out here, right? So Daniel's like, okay, he's going to be super aggressive. And he was right. Because this shot right here is just, he finally fully extended, instead of where they have been is their hand and their feet are pretty much equal. And you're going to see, you actually see that quite a lot here. They both kind of keep this. See, this is a full extension, but not quite there. So then Daniel full extends and didn't keep it there. So then he keeps his hand close to the chest, essentially. And Ryu did a full upper body extension, but not a full body extension. Like, he did a full arm extension, but not a full body extension. And then he takes a half step here, which from his already big stance, which was here, he takes an even further stance with the half step. And then does a full body and arm extension, which Daniel was not ready for a clean 2 points. In order to counter that, Daniel comes back real quick with a 2 points, which what we have not really noticed so far is that we can't really see it, but the clock is sub 1 minute, and we are only 2-point scoring strikes in, and one strike that was not a call. So 3 engagements altogether. So Daniel's going to come over here. And he beautifully slips this. He saw the motions that Rue was going to pull, and he said no. They're both in this neutral stance, where, again, their bodies over their hips, their legs are about shoulder width, their hands are about as extended as their forward foot. And then Hikaru does a skip, and that's what gave away that he's most likely going to lunge. You bring your back foot up to your front foot. In this case, he brought his back foot he just brought his feet together below him. But he's going to plant this foot here. He's going to plant his foot here, and this one's going to shoot all the way out, and he's going to do a full body extension, but towards the knee. Dang, I actually got that one right. That's good. Like distances at least. It's really hard to do this. So then all Daniel had to do was slip. And for those that don't know, a slip is literally you like slipping your chains. It's your feet moving out from underneath you in order to avoid a strike. So literally he just takes this foot and steps back. With a little fancy kick into a demi horse stance, which is just looks so beautiful and clean. The whole movement together, almost choreographed. And then just lightning fast said, "Hey Hikaru, I too can get in there and hit your hilt." So he goes from slip to a neutral stance to a hello. Put us at 4-2 with like 19 seconds left. Like I said, this whole match is not boring by any means. There's so much going on. So this is the only time where they're really kind of clashing a little bit. What ends up happening is there's a lot of flourishing. There's a lot of flourishing on Daniel's side, and Rue's trying to get in there in between the flourishes. Essentially, when the blade's going behind Daniel's back, or his forward plane, so obviously this is your forward plane, and this is your negative plane essentially, and the goal is, if you see your opponent flourishing or twirling or flowing or however you want to call it, you want to strike in there while obviously he's not defending himself. So we're going to go ahead and there, the blade goes back. But this is how Daniel's able to recover so much, is he keeps his blade in motion. Notice he's never fully undefended. He doesn't just stop and try to go immediately back the same way he came. He takes that momentum and brings it back around. So he quite literally swiped horizontally and then immediately brought it back around, almost in a figure 8 style, in an attempt to catch Rue on the retreat. So then they both swing again at the same time. Some blade action. You can see the flicker of the blade. He's like, again, he keeps this blade flowing. He's going again. Missed. Swinging again. He's going to attempt to get that hand. And I believe this is where they call the break, because frame by frame, it looks like if there was contact here, Daniel would have got it first. If there was no contact, Hikaru could have got it second. But when you actually look at it in full speed, it's fast, and the refs were unable to tell if there actually was contact. And if there was contact, one of the refs believes that it was at the same time. So It's super fast. Let's play it in full speed. Hard to tell. Hard to tell. That puts us at 13 seconds left. And again, we see another interesting rally here. And what ends up happening is Hikaru tries to hesitate again to try and catch Daniel off guard. And it doesn't. and Daniel gets right back. So he hesitated. And so he took the step forward. He's got a little horse stance going here. Instead of coming down, he went slightly back, is waiting for that space to clear. Daniel came from the outside, swung down. And now that he thinks it's safe, Hikaru is going to go in. But not fast enough, as he had to rechamber. And Daniel had just enough time, because of the way he's been flowing, to keep the momentum going. He came back up and around and back this way. Straight to the hand. And again, at full speed, it looks like they could possibly have this done at this exact same time. It is so close. And I do agree, even if they didn't see it as a simultaneous action, throwing that one out would have been the best bet. So now here's the controversial quote-unquote 4 seconds, which is about 6 seconds. And this actually ends up pretty nicely. Hikaru comes in, and it is unclear how to see this. You can't really tell if it hit hand or pommel or glove, but it honestly looks like at the very last second, Daniel twisted his wrist so his blade is actually facing down and towards Hikaru. So it looks like it could possibly hit his blade, the base of his blade, just above the emitter. And so there was no break called, as both refs did not quite see contact there. So I assume that's exactly how it was. Just it hit the base of his blade. And then Daniel comes in and snags the hand, just barely, of Hikaru at the quote-unquote last second. And since they grant him the 4 points, they go to overtime, right? So we're looking at Daniel Lane because he's keeping that blade flowing. And like I said, by keeping that blade flowing, Hikaru's unsure when his actual attack is able to come in. It's something that a lot of people can do and do actually do. But to actually do it well and pull it off the way he does, notice he slides in, repostures up, brings the blade right back, forward stance, keeps space, comes in to clear space again, keeps the blade moving, and Hikaru read it wrong and walked right into the uppercut, essentially. And Daniel walks away, the champion in deathmatch. Thanks for joining me for this full fight breakdown. We'll see you later, Starbets.